Amplified Bible. If anyone competes as an athlete in competitive games, he is not crowned with the wreath of victory unless he competes according to the rules. So it's rules to the game. It's rules to walking this narrow path. It's rules to it. So you have to have self-control and not do what the world is doing, because it's rules to the game. It's rules to serving YAHAWASHI. You can't do your own will. You can't do, what seems right in your own eyes. You have to follow the rules. It's in the book. You have to follow the rules in the book, okay? So you can receive that crown, okay? For everlasting life, right? There's rules in the book, okay? And the rules are only for the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Israelites. And only elect out of the Israelites is going to follow the rules, or walk the narrow path, and understand the rules that's in the game, okay? Of walking that narrow path, okay? And trust in the name of YAHAWASHI, and trust in the name of Yahawah, okay? There's rules to the game, okay? And they controlling the game. Really, it's YAHAWASHI, because the Most High put it on YAHAWASHI, control everything. But there's rules to the game, and they watching, okay? They watching the elect of Israel participate in the rules of the game, walking the narrow path, okay? So, what was I at? What was I reading from? I was in Timothy, right? So let's jump, right? Let's jump. Let's go to Corinthians. Let's see if we can get out of Corinthians, right? Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 1. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, right? Not 1 Corinthians, 2nd. Right? This 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse, what I want out of this? Alright. Okay. So, here we go. This is what Paul is saying concerning the Corinthians, right? He says this right here. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 24. Not for that we have dominion over your faith, but are helpers of your joy, for by faith ye stand. So Paul is telling you, look, he's not a dictator over your faith, okay? Your faith comes from YAHAWASHI. So how you're standing in this truth is based off your faith. Paul is not the author of your faith. He's telling you he don't control it. He don't have dominion. He's not a dictator, over your. Matter of fact, let's go to the word dominion right there. Let's see. First, what is the meaning of a dictator? A dictator is a political leader or holds absolute power over a country. So Paul is telling you, look, he don't have absolute power over you concerning your faith. Typically governed without the consent of the people or constitutional limitation. So Paul is telling you, he don't have absolute authority over your faith. You're standing, and doing what you're doing because of your faith in the name of YAHAWASHI. Okay? So let's look up the word dominion. I just want to look up the word dictator. Right? So Paul said he ain't no dictator over your faith. Alright, what was I in Corinthians? Let's see. what is it, 2 Corinthians chapter 1. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse let's see. Let me turn the volume up.
Strong's G 2961.
Cordiuo. Alright, Strong's G. What is that? Cordiuo. Strong's G 2961. Okay. It says to be Lord of, to rule, to have dominion over, of things and force, to exercise influence upon, to have power over. Paul telling you don't have power over your faith. Your faith comes from YAHAWASHI. And you're standing, doing the will of YAHAWASHI in service, right, of YAHAWASHI. Whether you teaching or not, you're still in service of YAHAWASHI. Paul said he ain't got no power over that. Okay? He's telling you right there. No man has power over your faith. Okay? While you walk in this narrow path. So remember that. Okay? So, let's see here. Let's go to the Bible Hub, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 24. Let's see. Alright. This 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 24, the New International Version. Not that we lord over your faith, but we work with you for your joy, because it is by faith you stand firm. New Living Translation. But that does not mean we want to have dominant by telling you how to put your faith into practice. Let me read that again. The New Living Translation. But that does not mean we want to dominate you by telling you how to put your faith into practice. We want to work together with you so you will be full of joy, for it is by your own faith that you stand firm. So in this narrow path that you're walking, in these gangs which have rules, you're supposed to work together and in the mission, right, and complete the task while you're serving YAHAWASHI. So Paul is telling you, look, we want to work together. We're not going to dominate you concerning your faith. Okay? We don't have absolute power over you concerning your faith. Okay? We want to work with you so you can have joy with us and when YAHAWASHI appears. Okay? So that's what Paul is telling you right there. But it's rules to the game. It's rules to the game. So no man has power over your faith. Okay? You stand firm because of YAHAWASHI. But we want to help you and work together so you can have joy, okay, with us when YAHAWASHI appears. So that's what Paul is saying. Okay? Amplified Bible. What I read? Alright. I read the New Living Translation. Let's go to the Amplified. Oh, Amplified Bible. Not that we rule like dictators over your faith, but rather we work with you for the increase of your joy, for in your faith you stand firm in your strong conviction that Yahawashi of Nazareth, the Mashiach, is the Son of the power through whom we obtain eternal salvation. That's it. That's it right there. Okay? So let's jump. Let's see what we can get out of Romans. See what Paul got to say concerning Romans. Right? To the Israelites that was in Rome. See what Paul had to say to them. If I can get there. Now I just, alright. If I can get there. Romans, right? This Romans chapter, what I want? Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12, verse, let's see here. Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For I say through the grace even unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly. Oh, that's that pride. Okay? You got to stay disciplined, have self-control concerning, now let me continue to read. Then he ought to think, but to think soberly according as the power had dealt to every man the measure of faith. So, you got to know and examine yourself, right, in reality. Everything that you got and while you're serving YAHAWASHI concerning your talent, concerning, you know, the videos you do, concerning the life that you're living, how you're able to stay disciplined and self-controlled, all that's not by your will, okay? All that's controlled by YAHAWASHI for their service, not yours. It's for their service, because you're a servant of YAHAWASHI, okay? In these games, and in the field, right, of the vineyard of the Heavenly Father and His sons, okay? You're working in the vineyard, right, as a servant, walking this narrow path, staying having discipline, self-control, and don't think that it's you that's doing it. The Heavenly Father allow you to do those things for their service. So humble yourself. Make sure you examine yourself and have self-control, because that's the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. It's not because of your will. It's because of the Heavenly Father and Son will, and you serving them in their vineyard. Okay? In this field vineyard. And the field is the world. And the vineyard is Israel. Okay? That's why you do the videos you do. That's why you do as much as you do. Because it's the Heavenly Father that makes you do it like that. No man can make you do that. Okay? Just like you got, I'll give you an example. Just like you got Obadiah. Just like you got Jude. The Heavenly Father made Obadiah write that book, okay? It was inspired by the Heavenly Father. Jude was inspired by YAHAWASHI. That's what it is. But they imported books, but they got a certain measurement. And their talent that they had, they used it, okay? But it was for the vineyard of YAHAWASHI, and it was a service for YAHAWASHI and their purpose, not yours, okay? So you got to stay humble and remember that, okay? Everything that you're doing is the Heavenly Father and His Son making you do it. No man can make you do what you're doing, okay? So you got to realize that and don't be proud and boasting over other brothers, because this is not a competition, okay? this say working together to build each other up while we walk this narrow path and suffer these hardships and serving YAHAWASHI. That's what it's about, working together. Okay? And breaking the scriptures down right. Okay? You can't work with somebody who's butchering the scriptures. You can't do that. Okay? They not training like you training, so to speak. They not following the rules. Okay? They doing their own thing. So you can't work with nobody who's breaking the scriptures down wrong. Okay? You can't do it. They not following the rules. There's rules to the game. Okay? There's rules to it. This is Romans. And if man is telling you, look, you're doing it wrong, and you don't listen, the Heavenly Father and His Son gonna get you. It's just a matter of time. Okay? They're gonna get you. They ain't gonna let you get away with it because you're adding, taking away from His word if you're breaking the scriptures down wrong. So they're gonna get you. Okay? It's just a matter of time. All we can do is tell you. Okay? This is what was I at? This is Romans chapter 12, verse Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, because these gifts are the measurement of faith is given, the talents is given to you by the Heavenly Father and Son. You didn't get it on your own. You got to remember, self-control and stay humble because you're serving YAHAWASHI, right? To complete their task, not your own. Okay? But to think soberly according as YAHAWASHI have dealt to every man the measure of faith. So you got to deal with reality. You just a man, you just a vessel. But the Heavenly Father gave grace unto you to where you can work for Him and work for the Heavenly Father and Son. That's what it is. Okay? Matter of fact, let's say in a different translation. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 3. Bible hood.
Romans chapter 12, verse 3.
This is Romans chapter 12, verse 3, the New International Version. It says, by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, with reality. You are a vessel serving YAHAWASHI, and they using you to do their will. Okay? You didn't get this on your own. You didn't get the talents on your own. You are not rehearsing the righteous act on your own. You are not separate from the nation of Israel, 2/3 of them on your own. The Heavenly Father is making it. The Heavenly Father and Son is making it happen. Okay? In according with the faith YAHAWASHI had distributed to each of you, the New Living Translation, because of the privilege and authority YAHAWASHI has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you are better than you really are, because He gave you that gift. Okay? You got to deal with reality, because He can take it from you. Psalm 51:11. Be honest in your evaluation of yourself. Measure yourself by the faith YAHAWASHI has given us. That's it. Amplified Bible. By the grace of the power given to me, I say to every one of you not to think more highly of himself and of his importance and ability than he ought to think, but to think so as he has sound judgment, as the power has appointed, a portion, right? It's like a portion to each a decree of faith and a purpose designed for service. Yeah. All right, let me look at something. I want to see the definition of a portion, right?
A portion.
I mean a portion. A portion. Okay. All right. I don't know why it's hard for me to get that out, but a portion. Okay. To divide, distribute, or calculate something proportionally according to a specific plan or rule. So the gift that you have is for a plan that the Heavenly Father and Son got. And it's to gather the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? So there you go. It's like it. It's about the pronunciation. Okay? But we're moving on. Let's jump. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Let's see if we can get out of there. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Verse, matter of fact, I want to see how far I am concerning the battery. I've been rolling. Let me see something. All right, I'll read a little bit more, and I'm gonna check that battery. All right.